fellow Minecrafters, Gearsaw Studios here. Today I'm going to show you how to build a beach house. Since 1.18 is going to be coming in just about 3 months at the time of recording, and that makes the beaches a whole lot better. However, before I begin, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, onto the tutorial. First things first, though, you need to choose a palette for this build. I'm going to be using stripped oak logs for support beams, stripped birch logs for the molding on the bottom, birch planks for a lot of things in the build, and cobblestone for a foundation. And although other blocks will be used, they aren't going to be used as prevalent as the other blocks, and they're mostly variants of other blocks shown here. Looking around, you can tell that this is not normal terrain. This is because this is actually a version of 1.18 known as 1.18 Experimental Snapshot 7, which has most of the new terrain in it. So that means good beaches, and good beaches are good places to build beach houses. So find a nice flat beach like this one, which borders a dark forest, which is a pretty okay biome to have a beach near. And don't forget to have a good ocean like this, because it would kinda suck if you had an ocean that was just a really large lake that you could see the edges of. The first thing I do is lay down a foundation for this house. The thing is, this house is going to be elevated, and you could do 3 blocks, I'm gonna do 2, and I'm going to make it 8 blocks for now. However, I'm probably going to change it throughout the video. However, I'll state whenever I change it in case you want to exactly copy my build. The reason for a foundation is because high tide and low tide. During the low tide, the tide is low. However, during high tide in real life, houses could become enveloped in water if the tide got too high. However, if you're to build it with a foundation up like this, which makes it more realistic, the water would be less likely to get in. Now, I've exponentially increased the size of this build. Now the foundation is 12 by 12 by 3, which makes it quite the larger build, which gives us more space to work with later on. I've also added these support beams to help me with counting, but I'm going to leave them in because they're actually going to be part of the build. However, a couple might have to go in order to add a staircase into the house. Where you're going to build the staircase, though, I think the best spot would be right about here, and make sure that the stairs can properly line up into this support beam. You can see right here, it doesn't exactly work the best. So you have to do it further back, and I'm going to try a couple different combinations of wood with this. Since these are birch, but oak might not look the best with this birch. So make sure that you connect it up here, and I'll figure out a solution to this. I figured out a solution to this problem. In order to make it match up, I used some birch for the railing, and for the middle I used oak. Although I usually do the inverse when I'm building alone, this is the first time I've done it this way, and it actually looks good, so I'd recommend trying it out on your version of this build. Now, it's time for the actual walls and entrance to this build. For the most part, I'm going to be using stripped oak logs. They'll be covered up on the outside, but on the inside they're going to be completely exposed. Don't put them on the corners though, because I have a different plan for that area of this build. So, for the middle segments of this, if it's 4 segments, just do 2. If it's 3 segments, then do 1. And if you have 2 segments, I think your build might be a little too small. Now, this is in, and now we can move on to the next part of this build. Also, don't forget that balconies are a thing in beach houses, since it would be nice to sit down, have a pina colada, and look out onto the ocean. So, be prepared to possibly make edits to this staircase. Now, as I said earlier, beach houses often have balconies, and that means we're going to be editing this staircase now that I have an idea of what to do. This is going to be multiple segments in terms of this build. So, up some segments and make sure that they're one block taller than the other segments. Going out onto the sea is okay, since I've seen quite a few builds do that, and I usually look up some images of other people's builds online for the inspiration for my videos. So if you get stumped and this video is not enough, don't forget you can search for other videos or images online. Now, with this in, fill it in with some birch planks. This is not going to have a foundation, and it's going to be mostly floating. You could also turn this into a dock later on, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. Now, connect them up, like this. And I'm probably going to make some adjustments later, but this is more on the temporary side in terms of supports. And add lanterns every so often. This is for the lighting and to prevent mobs spawning on this beach house. Now we have something to work with. Now I figured out what to do with the support beams. Add polished andesite. When in doubt of how to connect something up, polished andesite is the way to go, being a nice stony block that could be seen as a bolt if you're to picture it in a non-Minecrafty way. Now that the polished andesite is in and the support beams are in, we can finish the rest of the balcony. So, grab some fences, preferably the same birch fences. Just birch. You get what I'm trying to say. And with these fences put in, now you don't just randomly fall off the balcony when you're not paying attention to your screen. Now, stairs. Stairs are just chairs, and if you're going to be building, you probably know that stairs are chairs. And here's the thing, for this build you don't exactly need a table, because you have the support columns right here to put your drink on. So you might want to put a flower pot to act as a cup, but I'm going to leave it out this time. Now, aside from that, it's time to move on to the actual build itself again. It's time to just decorate this part, and what I like to do with the support beams is put stairs on them. When you put stairs like this, it kind of looks like a seashell, and it makes a nice pattern that you could connect up to the other parts of the build. However, I might add a second floor so the corners might change later on. But basically, this is how you do it. As you can see, it's kind of like a seashell, almost, but it might need a little adjustment. Now, I've perfected the design a little, and I decided to connect them up with slabs that look like a whole block. Now, it creates a nice arching pattern down here that really brings the build's foundation together. However, now it's time to work on the walls, which is one of the most satisfying but annoying parts of building in my opinion. What I'm going to do is strip birch right here, stack up these planks, and I'm going to repeat this on all sides of the build. This also means that you're going to have to raise these oak columns by one. Now, the support beams and walls are in, and I've decided I'm going to have part of a second floor on this build, which means it's polished andesite time because that's the block that's used to connect wood now, because I decided so and I don't know. So, connect these up with some more birch, and this also provides a little bit more depth to the build, which is always a welcome thing that most builders should try to add to their builds, since flat houses is often the main flaw of people new to building. Now, it might look a little awkward, but it might not look so awkward when I put in the second floor. Scratch what I just said. I'm actually going to repeat the same design I had down here for up here because no matter how much I looked at it, it still was strange. So just repeat the same pattern and don't add the support beams down there. Now I've added the design and implemented most of the wall design up here except the actual wall itself. If you're wondering about the glass panes down here, where they should probably go, that's for later. Now, you can see that part of this does not have walls. This is because I'm going to have part of a balcony here, but it's not going to cover the entire second floor here. So, It only will need to have walls on some parts of this. Now, start filling this in with the block of choice, birch planks. Now, with the walls in and door frames in, it's time to do the roof. The thing is, roofs on beach houses aren't really that shapy, if you get what I'm saying. Like, they don't have much shape to them. They're really flat, which is good in terms of how lazy I am when it comes to building roofs. However, it might look a little weird to others. So, I'm just going to build a completely birch roof and see how it goes. So, I went with my design, but I changed it so that way the trim or edges, whatever you call it, I might have my terminologies wrong, is oak. That way, it breaks it up and doesn't look so flat and weird. Although it's still a rather flat roof, it's still an okay roof in my eyes. But now, it's time to work on the actual build, like the interior. However, the exterior is almost done. Now, we fill in the glass holes and we place down all the doors. You can see where I've designated slots for doors, and because I'm an ancient Minecrafter, they are legally forced to face right with the handle on the right. Otherwise, I don't know, I might just say your build is ugly. However, just fill in all the glass and make sure that the door's handle is on the right side, because honestly, I just can't look at a door normally after playing in the alpha days. Now, on the interior, with the exterior completely done, it's time to link up the two floors. And the only way to do that is a staircase, since I've officially decided no ladders today. Now, just build a staircase like normal, and you might want to get rid of a couple of windows while doing this. Because if you have too many windows that are touching the glass, it might start looking awkward. And the main thing about building is making something that has good form, but doesn't look awkward in the process. So, these windows are okay, but this one is candidate for removal. Now, do the railing out of oak, because I just like doing that, and you could fill the area under here with some nice birch planks. Now, with the stairwell in and the stairs that come with it, we've synced up the two floors together. Now, it's time to fill up the interior. First, we're going to focus on the decoration aspect, then we are going to do the functional aspect, since you need a balance so that way you can live in it and still enjoy it. Right here, we are going to have a table for lighting and decoration. You can also attach a lantern to it, or this ceiling could also have a lantern. It's up to you what you want. I'm going to keep it on the ceiling for now, and that mostly lights up the room. Over here, we are probably going to add some storage later. Now, for the second floor, we are going to make this a bit of a bedroom. So, grab a bed. I'm going to be choosing light blue because it matches the sea. Adding a little nightstand right there. And I can add a flower pot. And there's not really anything that grows by the sea that can be on land. So I'm just going to go outside and look around for the nearest flowers. I've decided to add bamboo since there really aren't anything growing on the beach that can be put in a flower pot. The only thing is sugar cane, and that can't be put in a pot. So bamboo's the next best option since we don't have palm trees. I've also added a lantern right here for more lighting because the last thing you want to have on your beach vacation in Minecraft is getting blown up by a creeper while trying to go to bed. Now, you may have noticed that I've disconnected this part of the house to be its own little section. This could be a little bit of a storage room, but I'm not sure what to do with it yet. So, you can use your ideas and post them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Now, for some functionality before I go up there and add something to the room right here. First, crafting table, furnaces, smoker with trapdoor on it. That way you can keep the smoke in. But I think I'm going to change it to spruce so it matches better, considering that you can see the wood on it, and there's nothing you can do about it by crafting a birch smoker, because unfortunately that does not exist. So spruce is the next option. Now for this corner, there's not going to be much storage, but at least there is some storage in the form of barrels, like this, and you could delete these 2 blocks for more storage, which, since you won't see this very often, I think is an okay choice. Speaking of that, you might want to remove these windows, but that's just based off of personal preference on what you want to do. Either way, 8 barrels is a little bit of storage, and if this is only a beach vacation house, that's not too bad. Before I even realized it, I found out this build is basically done, since I decided to put an armor stand in this little slot. So let's see how it looks at night, since that's the ultimate lighting test. As you can see, it's well lit, and if you go inside, at some parts it might be getting close to 7, but it never reaches too close to 7, which means this is a rather safe house. Along with that, you can see that, well, it's rather decorated, which means it's just a nice house to have in general. This area could use a little bit of touching up, but I'm going to leave that to you guys to figure out. And with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. I'm thinking of building more houses like this, since it's just a fun thing to do. However, before I go, remember, check out the latest snapshot videos, since the experimental snapshot line should be over, and that means the warden is coming very, very soon, unlike what I thought during my underground cabin video. So, with that, take care, keep on exploring. Gearsaw